An icy wind rips along a boarded-up downtown street, swirling paper wrappers into the air. A city bus roars past, trailing fumes. A man in rags begs for a handout. Two passers-by ignore him on their way to lunch. It's a typical winter tableau for a modern East Coast city. But walk up the steps at West Saratoga Street and Park Avenue, pass through a warm foyer, and enter the sanctuary of the National Shrine of St. Alphonsus Ligouri, and you'll think you've stepped back 1,000 years in time. Worshippers kneel in worn pews, a vaulted ceiling soaring far above them. Towering stained glass windows admit just enough light to dispel any gloom. Women young and old wear the lace head coverings of eons past, and a priest in white and blue vestments stands up front, facing not the congregation but the altar against a wall, murmuring in Latin. In Troibo ad altar Dei, says the Reverend Joel Kiefer, the church's 48-year-old pastor, I go unto the altar of the Lord. St. Alphonsus is the only church in Baltimore that offers the traditional Latin Mass, the celebration of the Eucharist that all Catholics observed prior to the sweeping reforms instituted by the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s. It's also part of what appears to be a modest worldwide comeback for the ancient service, also known as the Tridentan Mass or the extraordinary form of the Roman Rite. Pushed to the margins of Catholic practice by the reformist church leaders of Vatican II, the traditional Latin Mass had nearly vanished in the United States by the early 1980s. Now it's celebrated in more than 400 Catholic churches across the country, according to Una Voce, an organization that promotes the rite. Nathaniel Marks, an assistant professor of systematic theology at St. Meinrad Seminary and School of Theology in Indiana, says it's hard to track the numbers, but anecdotal evidence suggests that the movement is continuing to grow. Marx explored the ethnography of modern Latin Mass Catholics in his 2013 doctoral thesis, Ritual in the Age of Authenticity. I do believe it's gaining energy, both from older Catholics who recall the rite from their childhood days and from younger ones now discovering it for the first time, he says. That growth is certainly evident at St. Alphonsus, which offers a Tridentan Mass 7 days a week in addition to Lithuanian and English-speaking services earlier on Sunday mornings. The Tridentan Mass is celebrated mostly in Latin, the official language of the Roman Catholic Church. Readings from the Old and New Testament are delivered in both Latin and English, the homily is in English. During the liturgy of the Eucharist, when Catholics believe bread becomes the body of Christ, the priest faces ad orientem away from the congregation and toward the east. Attendees kneel at an altar rail when receiving communion. In the Novus Ordo Missae, the new Mass, the priest faces toward the people, worshippers take communion while standing, and the altar rail is gone, all parts of an overall aim by the reformers of Vatican II to integrate lay Catholics more fully into the life of the Church. At St.